So, good evening, YouTube. Glad you could all join me this evening. Just let me know that the sound and everything is clear for you. Make sure I get this text bar in shot. Don't know why it changes every single time. And you should see me now. There you go. So, good evening. I don't know how many of you are on here at the moment, but it's slowly building. So thanks for joining me. Hopefully you've got lots and lots of questions that you can bring forward. And I'm here for as long as your questions are. So that can be sort of 20 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes. I have no idea on the length, as this is totally unorganized. So we'll see. Say hi in the chat. Let me know who's here, what's going on, what you're doing. And in the meantime, while you find the chat bar, if you're having any difficulty, you can place it down there. I will run through my little lists, my little plugs that I have to go through. So the website is now the place for the most up-to-date information, which is www.mediumcharliekelly.co.uk, and that is at the top of the chat bar there. No problems there. Use the contact us section of the website, where you can sign up for the newsletter that goes out on the 1st of every month, and to make any sort of inquiries on workshops and demonstrations. Which the next available demonstration I think you can find me at will be the charity demonstration that you'd have saw on the advert, which is at Cedars Park Community Centre in Stowe Market. If you jump onto the website for details there, or my Facebook page, you'll be able to find everything you need there for that. So I've got loads and loads of sticky notes everywhere to remind me what I need to do. So one for the diary. So for the people that are on here now, I'll go back through and say hi to everyone in a moment and come across with your questions. I'll give you a very simple answer if I can. But while you're here and the audience is building, the next Q&A that I will schedule in will be the 15th of January. So I'll create an event after this and you can set your reminders as normal. But keep an eye out in case I do schedule one before Christmas Day. We'll see what happens there. And I'm not sure if you guys want that many Q&As or want to see me so much on live stuff. I'm not really sure the feeling on some of that. So workshops for 2019, January and March are sold out now, and I cannot. I don't think I'll be able to schedule any more in other than the ones that were in the advert at the start of this live stream. If you didn't get a chance to see them, hop onto the website, which I've disclosed, or the Facebook page, the Medium Charlie Kelly Facebook page. And they are selling really quick, so which is really good for me, but bad for you if you've not been on a workshop or you're looking to get a placement on a workshop. You can put your name down and etc. and all that now for the upcoming workshops. So July, October and December of next year are already half full. And then the mentorship, I have one place left on the mentorship. And that's it. That will be a locked door policy, and you won't get on it till the following year, or certainly make an inquiry for the following year. So if you want that, you need to get in contact with me now. Someone has already inquired, but they haven't confirmed their place. So I did say that I would post it on the YouTube channel if they hadn't got back to me, and they haven't got back to me. So that's why you guys are hearing about it now. So let's quickly go through the chat and then we can get onto your questions. So no questions, I go home. Well, I'm already home, so I just turn that camera off and continue my evening. It's for you guys. It's to make it as easy as possible for you, give you a different angle or a different understanding. So it really is for you. So let's see what the evening holds, and I'm nervous. I'm always nervous talking to a camera. It feels a little bit strange, but I always enjoy it when I turn it off. So looking forward to tonight's one. So hi to everyone. I'm not going to go through you all individually because everyone's saying hi. Hi Charlie, hope your back is better. It's not better. So I've had to make cancellations and I'm trying to ease it. I've had a few people look at it. It's still no better. So I think a couple of weeks off are due, which I'm rounding down my diary now. I've got a few more commitments to do. And then I'm going to go and have a break and kickstart 2019 in full flow. So good evening to everyone that's saying good evening. So okay, so that's really funny that what Stephen LeVar Cord TV. That's interesting. I've recently done a demonstration, so I know you can see on the top chat on the screen, but I can't sort of revert it. The questions fly in and you get a chance to read them, but I don't get to read them that quick. So Stephen asks, hi Charlie, my name is Stephen. Can you please tell me if my protector guide is a wolf or a dog, or what type of animal? I can't seem to get it. Thank you. And so I done a demonstration on Sunday where I met a lovely man, Colin, and Colin was talking about soulmates, angels, guides, protector guides, and all that kind of stuff. And I said to him, do you know, this conversation would be a whole lot easier if we just dropped the label that we require, you know, like, is it an angel, is it a guide, is it this, is it that? And your question there, Stephen, falls directly into that category. It immediately reminded me of the conversation I had with him the other day. And so what happens is, I apologise in advance because I've only got a post-it note and it changed screen so I can see what I'm doing here. I can change the mode on that now. As that kicks out again, that's a little bit annoying. So give me a moment. I'll have to quickly sort that bar out again. I've only got a little post-it pad, and I will try to draw on there what it is that we're doing. So if we have an idea of a guide. So an idea, I've wrote the word idea down. What the spirit world do is they will cloak it with information. They will cloak it. So if I put like a little bubble around that, like so there you go, you can see that. They cloak it with information. So if you need, Stephen, if you need a protector guide that is a wolf or a dog or any kind of animal in that context, in that information here, so I've got to keep jumping screens when I do this, in that information here that surrounds the idea, that's the sparking thought within the mind, that when the neuros kick in, this is what happens, an idea starts. And the spirit world cloak the information, they cloak it like a bubble and give you what you as the individual need. So if you need a protector guide to be a wolf or a dog or any kind of animal in that instance, then that will be what's best for you. So actually what you can do is maybe you're trying a little bit too hard to try and find out what it is, and it will always change between a wolf and a dog. And that is because your idea here is constantly changing from a wolf to a dog. And so they will constantly cloak it with wolf or dog. And so that's what you just need, a clarity of mind. So if you want it to be a wolf, then let it be a wolf. Equally, if you want it to be a fairy, let it be a fairy or a unicorn, then that's absolutely fine. Because it's the progression of your conscious state that the spirit world are trying to work with that will help you grow. So I hope that answers you there, Stephen LeVar Cord. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologise in advance. I do this every week. I mess all your names up, and I'm a terrible reader at things like that. So my apologies in advance. So Nanny's House Vintage, hello from Canada. So hi to Canada. Lovely to see you live again. Melanie, much better. Thank you, Melanie. Nice to see you live again. I'm very, very intrigued by Canada. I'm sure I will go over there at some point in the future, hopefully. That would be great. I'm totally obsessed with Peter McKinnon from Canada. Absolutely love his YouTube channel. Nothing to do with mediumship, all photography and videography. And he's from Canada, so hopefully one day make my way over there and hopefully bump into him at some point as well. Blue Feather, I'll be hopping on and off, so we'll put my questions. Did you do any training in inspirational speaking? We are doing it in my circle. Absolutely. Inspirational speaking is a very, very good way to talk. And because of that, it helped me. It helped me with public speaking. It helped me do, here in the UK, we have to do, we call it an address. And that's a philosophical talk for 15 minutes before a demonstration. So we get to address the entire congregation for about 15 minutes with an angle or an idea, a philosophy, and present it to that congregation. And then we will have an hour and 15 minutes of a demonstration of mediumship where I'll get to maybe 6 or 7 people. So the philosophy will touch all. The idea is that the communication touches all. However, that's not always the case. So the philosophy will do that for us. We can engage with everyone in that moment. So absolutely. And I enjoyed my training in inspirational speaking, constantly still trying to work on that now, trying to find new ways and new ideas to touch the minds of a congregation, an audience, subscribers, so on and so forth. So absolutely. Hi, evening. Laura, good afternoon. I heard Charlie reference the theta state in a video recently. I'm a practitioner of yoga, Nidra, which takes you to this state. Can he expand on that with regards to mediumship, please? Absolutely. So back to the drawing board. So I'm gonna have to draw a terrible drawing here. My apologies in advance. So let me switch screens so I can see what I'm doing. So Laura, so the mindset, so 27 megahertz, so it's 27 to 35 megahertz is very normal. And then we go into the inspirational part, and then around this area here is where we'll kick into mediumship. And then we go through the altered state. So alpha, beta, theta is around this area here, where entrancement can take place. This is just it's worked on the breath, as you will know, as you work in yoga nidra. Don't know that one. I will write that down so I can look at it later on. But it's a process where we learn our breath through meditation, and we train ourselves to be able to go to the theta state and then apply the brakes so we don't fall into a deep state, sleep, or a place where we can't function within our mind. So we train ourselves to hold our train of thought within the theta and delta state, right at the cusp of just before falling asleep, and holding it for an area as I know as entrancement. Americans or that side will know it as channeling. So I don't know what more you want me to expand on that, but in this example, apologies for swapping screen, in this area here to here, this is where mediumship will take place. in this area here, where I'm conscious enough to stand up and move my arms and express myself. However, the rest of my mind I try to hand over to the spirit world, where they can give me the idea, cloak the communication. So that idea would be communication. I'm aware of a man, and this man steps forward and he makes me aware his father. He's 72 years old and he passes of COPD and lung failure. So that is where the spirit world will cloak the information over the idea, which is the communication. Hope that makes sense. Trying to keep it as simple as possible, so I hope that that clarifies. Charlie, I had a child spirit encircled that was, at first, it was amazing how giddy I felt through clairsentience. It was amazing how giddy you felt. So I don't understand the question there, Blue Feather. Are you saying once I connected to the child, once I connected to this child and I immediately felt giddy? Is that what you're saying? Or I don't know. I don't know what the question is there. My apologies. So try and clear that up a little bit differently. Wow, that just jumped miles ahead. Bev, so good evening, Bev. Charlie, will you be doing any online workshops or mentoring, please? In the process of trying to design that right now. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. But yes is the answer. Yes, and I will. Once I'm happy with it, then it will be released. I need to be happy. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with things like that. But absolutely, if you haven't already expressed your interest in that, Bev, if you can send an email to mediumcharliekelly.co.uk, and in the subject title, put mentoring, because I keep all those emails to one side. So when it's ready, I can email them out to the people that have expressed that interest. So yeah, so in due course. I seem to be doing okay in getting in the evidence, but then am getting stuck when I try to find out the message they have for the sitter in circle. Any advice? Absolutely. What I do is I can't really draw that one, but what I do in when I get stuck in that kind of scenario there where I can't change my mind from the communication gear to then move into the message, so I kind of speak it out loud. And what that does is that forces the issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go to the message that your father brings, or your mother brings, or your loved one brings, whoever it will be. And by doing that, I'm moving it into gear. And what the spirit world, fill in the blank with the communicator, what this communicator wants me to say to you is ... And I'm asking the spirit world to fill in the gap for me. Now, I appreciate that can feel a little bit scary because you have no information. You're not sure that you've got the information, and what am I going to do? However, I know that they'll fill it in. And because I know that they'll give me that sense, that emotion, that whatever it is, when I go, and what the spirit world want me to say to you is ... And then I can run with the emotion, the visual, the idea, the philosophy, whatever it is at that point that they want me to express. And they will always fill it in. 100% of the time. It does not fail. But listen to what I'm saying there. So it's like I absolutely trust what it is that I'm getting in that moment. And because I trust that, therefore that's how I set myself up. I'm gonna go with it, and as I do that, so if I need like I'm gonna ask them to make me aware of their passing, and as my mind moves there, I know the spirit world fill it in. So it's kind of not professional to speak out the mechanic. I'm going to ask them what their passing is. However, I needed it to get past my hiccup or my blockage in some way. Blockage, I'm taking that back. I'm going to edit this video afterwards. because I don't do blockages. So my students are going crazy on the live feed right now. So as that information hasn't been made clear to me in some way, which will be my fault, I haven't seen it, I'm not aware of it, I can't grasp it with my awareness. Because of that, and I've spoke out that mechanic, it helps my mind get past any sort of insecurity, or as my mind's come back to be self-aware, I know that it needs to shift back into mediumship gear, so back into this. So if I'm unaware, I'm more this end of the scale, when actually I want to be sliding back into here. So by speaking out the mechanic, I force the issue to come back into this zone here, if that makes sense. I don't want it going completely over people's heads. The idea of it is that I say it so simply that you understand. So that should help you, Blue Feather, in that instance. How do we switch our mind with the intent to work? Because it doesn't seem to work so quick unless I meditate. The problem that you have there, Stephen, is that you believe that you need to meditate to make it happen. Whereas I know I don't need to meditate to make that happen. So as my mind moves to the spirit world, I'm looking at the spirit world. I'm now aware of a man. And as that man steps forward, I know that he is 46, 47 years of age. And so my mind has already gone there. And I know that when I look for the spirit world, it's there. So in that process, I know that I've got no other, nothing else going on in my mind. I know 100% the spirit world are going to be there. So as my intent goes, so I draw my mind there, and there's that man at 47 years old that steps forward, that's extremely tall, that wants to have a word, have a say in communication. And so the only difference between my mediumship and yours, Stephen, is that I know absolutely I don't need the meditation beforehand, where you are still under some sort of belief that it's required in some way. You believe that you work better after a meditation, therefore you will need that ritual as such to produce good quality mediumship in your understanding, which is absolutely fine. It's neither right nor wrong. It's Stephen's way of doing it. So I wouldn't say start messing it up. However, grow used to the idea that you don't need to meditate, and there I am, and there's that gentleman that wants to step forward, and now I move my mind back to my live feed, and that gentleman steps out of my awareness. So again, I hope that makes sense to you there, Stephen. So good evening, Jeanette. Jeanette, I feel like it takes a lot less energy to read tarot with bits of clairvoyance rather than the energy it takes me to do mediumship. How can I keep the energy going? It's a bit of a funny one, that, Jeanette. So I'm going to try and draw this, okay? So, which is going to be difficult at best. I'm no artist, by the way. I'm no artist. So, change my screen. Hopefully, there you go. So this is the mechanic for psychic work. So me reading your energy. So me, lighting is so terrible. There. So me reading your energy. Me reading you. So that requires my energy to house the reading of your energy, which will come through in the form of tarot, ribbon readings, crystal readings. The list is endless, what we need to do there. However, mediumship has one addition, which is where we lift our minds enough to go to the limitless resources of the spirit world, the limitless resources. So let me try and find it there. So when I do mediumship, I plug in my mind, I plug that into the unlimited resource. Therefore, I don't need any energy. I can be ill. I can be not very well at all. I can be completely fatigued in my physical being because my mind is going to the unlimited source of energy, of said spirit world. So I don't need any energy to do that because I plug into the unlimited. If I'm trying to read psychically, then of course I would feel that because my energy is trying to house this reading here. So that is where you will feel deflated. So without seeing you work, I would need to be in the same classroom or observing you in some way to know that that technically that you've got the mechanics right with mediumship and not the psychic stroke sensitive faculty that you're using now. Because mediumship, you should be okay. You're plugging into the unlimited. It's limitless. It's just in abundance. So you shouldn't struggle. However, you've got like I always say that I only know because I know of your story a little bit, that you're quite relatively new to mediumship in that aspect. That I always liken it to going to the gym. It's one of those things that we need to kind of work it out. We're moving our mind to a space. We're going into that unlimited resource of the spirit world. However, your mind is of the physical world. Therefore, it's going to be very difficult for you in the early stages to maintain your mind and the discipline of that mind because you're not used to doing that. That will be the tiresome bit. So if me and you are going to the gym and I regularly bench, I don't know, 100 kilos, I regularly do it and you never bench press anything, and I ask you to lay down and bench 100 kilos, you're going to find this a little bit difficult. It's going to be very tiring. But eventually, a month down the line, you're getting more and more used to lifting this kind of weight. Therefore, it becomes normal and you can actually add more weight to it. Working with the spirit world is very much that way. The more and more you train your mind to be in that discipline of it jumping around in the states that we speak of, you get more and more used to coming to this zone. Therefore, it requires less effort. So you're using your own energy a lot more efficiently. And because you're using it more efficiently, you've got more to use as a physical being to then keep your mind in that spiritual gear for mediumship. So the very simple answer is more and more practice in that sense, maybe. Practice would be a good way to hold it there. And in a very, very short space of time, you would be able to hold the energy much, much longer. So, God, that jumped miles and miles. So, sorry, I've just got to find where we're at. So, thank you. Cool. Good evening, David. Cool. Nice to see you. Nice to see you on here again. So, all good. I am close to Canada. Cool. We would be so happy to have you. Please do let us know if you ever want to visit. There are many venues and spiritualist churches that would be happy to host a demonstration, especially in Ontario. Absolutely. So contact the website and we will arrange it. I would absolutely come to Canada. Absolutely. So if we can find some sort of agreement, then we will be booking tickets and making our way down. So absolutely. So get in contact with me and we will figure something out. Hello, Charlie. This question may get you in trouble, as you say. You're learning too much, Miss Responsibility. Why do some starting mediums appear to want to be a victim of their own mediumship or spirit? I.e., spirit is following me. So you're right, you are going to land me in trouble. It's unfortunately, so strap yourselves in. I don't actually care. I'm just going to say it as it is. So it's actually because it's the ego, isn't it? It's the ego that needs it. It's like when you first start mediumship, or you start a spiritual unfoldment in some way, it's not about the process. I mean, this can be absolutely anything. It could be Reiki, couldn't it? No one wants to listen to anyone unless they're a Reiki master, and then it's like you're put on the pedestal. I'm a Reiki master. A medium is someone that's communicating with the spirit world, and yet they've got to go through all of these rituals to get any kind of communication up and running. It's one of those things, and it's people that are, as you've put there, they almost become a victim of their own doing, but it creates a whirlwind around said individual with like-minded ideas of that individual. If you're someone that believes that the spirits are bothering you and they're touching you in a way that makes you uncomfortable, then you will gravitate to the other people, in this example, the idiots, that would then promote that idea onto them, that group that seems to follow them, and therefore the whirlwind creates. They become important within that circle, within that group as such, because they have been bothered, they're being touched, the spirit world is following me. I can assure you that the spirit world follow each and every single one of us if we choose to move our mind there. The spirit world, it gravitates so much of a higher frequency than we do here on the physical earth, that if I took a beam of light here, and we're on the physical earth like many megahertz lower frequency, if I shone that light through that, the arc would be tiny that comes out of this little light here, but the more further I go down, it would encompass the entire pad in this example, wouldn't it? The light beam. And so they are there through understanding. They will always be there because they're at a much lighter frequency. That's what that term means. And so if my mind moves to the spirit world, then the spirit world will be there. And so what I see a lot of beginners or people that don't have much understanding in the mechanics of the mind, the mechanics of mediumship, then you'll hear them say silly things like, the child followed me home, or that man followed me home. And all that says to me is that they need to go back to circle and learn about mediumship a little bit more. Because the fact that your mind went to the child or the man, the mind has gone there because the spirit world is there, and you will find it. You're looking for it, therefore you will find it. So of course he's there. So when you go, let me just double check to see if that man's still there. Oh my God, he's still there. Well, of course he's still there because it's all encompassing. Look at the philosophy of spiritualism. Look at the philosophy of it. It's always there. It's omnipresent. It's there. So guess what? When you do look for it, you're gonna find it. That's the way omnipresent works. And so you get these idiots that go on to educate some other people. They will have a mentoring program or a circle or a school even, in and around the globe. You know, these people will go on to teach other people that mechanic as though it's something scary, when actually they need to be talking about the power of the mind. And of course, if you're preaching from a public platform that the spirit world is omnipresent, well, it makes sense that when you check to see if the man has gone or not, of course he's going to be there. That's the meaning of omnipresent. Of course he's going to be there. So I think it's ego. I could just move on and say it's their ego. But these people don't listen to that, do they? They don't believe that their ego is taking over. They need that feeling of being important. I'm center of attention. I crave this in some way, consciously or subconsciously. And so you won't break that down without the acknowledgement of said victim, of said medium. Yeah. Charlie, what are your thoughts on reincarnation? Would you say a person that has been in spirit for many years and never came through to a medium, could this be because they have come back to the earth? Good question. How on earth am I gonna do this? So here we go. Now try to imagine. I'm gonna try very. I'll draw it very, very basic for you, Bev. Here we go. So let's colour that one in. So providing you're comfortable with the idea, Bev, that that this that you're looking at tonight is Charlie in the facet of a human being. This is Charlie. However, my spirit is not this. This is just the vehicle. This vehicle is called Charlie. My spirit is my spirit. That's the purity of who I am. And so that's the all-knowing, the higher self, as they would call that in books or in many, many years of teaching across religions and practices, providing you understand that. So if I take this, so let me try and get the lighting right for you. There. See this? So let's say that box of facets there is carnation. So just in this example, let's take that one I've coloured in. That is the carnation of Charlie. So that one facet there is in the carnation of Charlie. However, if in a previous carnation my name was Matilda, then this one up here was Matilda, and therefore I can still communicate to the loved ones on the earth because they're going to the spirit. The facet is in the carnation. However, my spirit is still in the spirit world. So if my loved ones, when I was known as Matilda, which is this one here, the medium would connect to this facet to have the communication with Matilda. So that, in my opinion, is how the reincarnation thing would work if I agreed with it. That would be the most plausible way of explaining that. So I hope that makes sense. If not, I will try again. Roslyn, good evening, Charlie. How do you know when it's time to get up on the platform and demonstrate? In our circle, the fledglings are encouraged to give a demonstration after the visiting medium. You will never be comfortable doing a demonstration. I think, for me, I'm just trying to figure out a way of wording it for you. If you're ever just very blasé about getting up, yeah, crack on, I'll get up, I'll demonstrate, check me out, then for me, your circle needs to be focusing on the self-important part of that. We know that as ego. So we need to question the ego. Why is that so free to get up and do that? That's a problem. That's a little bit of a problem. If we're nervous, we're going to be nervous. We're about to talk to a group of people. And as we get up to demonstrate, this would usually be a room full of strangers, maybe some people you may know, just being familiar with them. However, there will be an audience that, and a lot of them you won't know. That's going to be nervous. That's going to be, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need to get up and talk. Then that's normal. That's very, very normal. Of course it's normal because it's not the done thing. It's difficult. It's hard work to get up. Talk about something that only your awareness is picking up, whether that be in a feeling or in emotion, any of the sensory. Only your sensory instrument, your vehicle, can see or feel or hear or taste that. And you need to talk to an audience explaining that, express that through the spoken word. That's scary. So you're never going to be ready for it. So if you're at a point where you're doing good readings, you know, there's a quality there, and there is evidence that's backed through this quality, then now's the time. That's the time to get up. You will perfect your people skills, your speaking skills, your demonstration skills. All of these things will come with time. What you need to focus on is my evidential bit up to scratch? Am I providing evidence, presenting an argument beyond a reasonable doubt that your loved one is here with me? Then at that point, get up. That's the time to hit the that platform. If you're not there, then just sit in circle a little bit more practice until you dial in that evidential purpose. And once you've done that, then you're good to go. Can you tell me when you feel it is time for fledglings in a circle to fledge? Who guides you with is spirit, your mentor, or how does this work, please? So if you're in circle, it's deemed fledge. You're fledging at that point if you're in circle, and you're ready to go out into the public. It's like a child, isn't it? It's like riding a bike. You pop off the stabilizers and you sort of hover around the back of the seat. You kind of push them off and away they go, and they either stay up straight with a little bit of wobbling everywhere, or they fall over and hurt themselves, don't they? At that point, it's like when you're not really indicated when that is. It's kind of they want to do it. They want to try it. They want to try getting on the bike. So you kind of got to let them sort of like, do you know, I think I'm ready for this. I think I'm ready to demonstrate my mediumship, the relationship that I have developed with this spirit world. I'm ready to demonstrate that on a public level, whether that be in a one-to-one or on a platform. At that point is when I would encourage them to try that. Here in the UK, I don't know if you're in the UK, Roslyn, but here in the UK we hold open nights or fledgling nights, new worker nights, where they can have a sympathetic audience. It's not saying yes when it's no, but they're kind of more encouraging. We encourage them to try. I would maybe do a few of those first and get the ball rolling that way. So maybe that's it. What I'm trying to understand from the questions here, Roslyn, is are you asking me, are you ready, or are you already out there? I can't quite work out from your question there. So maybe fill that in. Not everyone has the means to develop through classes on or offline for one reason or another. What are your thoughts on mediums being certified? Do you feel this is a must, or is it enough for some to develop it with their team alone? Why and why not? So let me quickly mute you. I've got a very dry throat and I don't want you to hear me guzzling. So give me a moment. My apologies. So you're absolutely right. Not everyone can develop in classes on or offline for a million reasons. You're absolutely right there. So moving on to the next part of your question there. What are your thoughts on mediums being certified? So maybe this is a good point to let you know that I am certified by two separate organisations. One being the Ursham Star School of Mediumship, which gives me a recognition for the quality that I produce. So by going out with that certificate, the people that know of that certificate know that I have been placed in a exam, in a DEM, where I have had to produce to a very transparent guideline. So that would come in the form of a diploma or an advanced diploma through the Ursham Star School of Mediumship. And so when seen, it should be one of those things that people see it and they go, oh, they've done that. That means they've done said requirements. So it's very transparent. My other one is I'm a certificate holder of the Spiritualist National Union. And this is very much like a time-based thing. So I do an SD1, which is like spiritual background knowledge, basically. So I've had to do research and fill in and write essays, and then I got no break on that. I didn't get, like some of the mediums I know got like a quick pass through, you know, just like quickly rush them through. I never got that. I've never got any help actually from the SNU. They made it as difficult as possible for me to achieve my certification. And then I had to do what they call a PASS scheme, which was 25 demonstrations and 25 public addresses that I had to do. Once I'd got that, I had to attend 4 weekends where a qualified teacher would sign my weekend off to a guideline, and then at the end of that I had to sit a board where I had to travel 5 hours to a tiny little church north of the country where they put 100 people in the audience, and I had to demonstrate at 9 a.m. in the morning, and then they were very kind enough to let me do my inspirational talk, last one of the day, before a 4.5 hour drive home. So what happens is that people see that you have a CSNU, a DSNU, whatever it will be, and they will see that that was quite difficult to achieve. Therefore, there is a level of competence there within the mediumship. So in some aspects, I totally agree with certification. I agree with it because I see so many people on a platform that should not be on a platform. It is nothing more than psychic work, so on and so forth, cold reading, very, very generical stuff. However, is it the be all and end all? Absolutely not, because in equal number, I know some amazing mediums that don't have any certification whatsoever. So they've just built up a reputation after years and years of service that now holds firm with wherever they go. Their name is their certificate as such. So I see both sides of it. I definitely see both sides of it. I do think we need to maybe look at it again. Mediumship is in saturation here in the UK. And so I see a lot of not so good mediumship, and I would like that addressed in some way, because it tarnishes. If one person goes and sees one terrible one, then every single medium is tarnished with that brush. That's just life, unfortunately. Is it enough for some people to develop with their team alone? Actually, 90% of my development, I couldn't afford courses. I couldn't afford workshops. I couldn't afford to do these things online or offline or in classrooms. I wasn't in a position that I could afford to do things like that. I did 2 courses, both of which were funded by someone that I knew, and they saw good at the end of it. They saw that I was becoming a better person for doing this, and they funded it for me. So I was very, very fortunate in that process that that person helped me to do 2 courses. Everything else was self-development, sitting at home with my team alone. So I would recommend working with yourself and on your own. However, I would definitely, from time to time, I would save the pennies and the pounds, and I would go in and make sure that what I think I'm doing is correct, and then get it verified by a well-known tutor or someone in the industry to make sure that you're on the current right path. And what I mean is that your delusion can run wild. We can start we can start off on the right context. We can punch a video in on YouTube, can't we? And we may find someone that says that you need to protect yourself from this all-loving spirit world, and that you need to light candles and say prayers and do everything just right, and before you know it, you're 30 minutes into your development, and you're already bogged down with rituals that are actually not required. So I would save. I mean, most of us go and buy coffee. Most of us spend needlessly. So just pop that in a jar somewhere, and that would be one of those things that maybe do 2 or 3 a year, where you can get on a one-day workshop or a weekend residential, whatever your funds can allow you to do, just to make sure that you are on track, is my advice there. No problem. Wording during a reading seems to be a real art form. Is this something that comes with practice? Is there a mechanic that is helpful in sounding less choppy during a reading? Absolutely, Miss Responsibility. What I see a lot of is like questions, you know, like I really, really don't like it when mediums go, and who is Deborah? And who is Frank? And it's not the client's job to do that, working out. You're the medium, therefore the wording should be, and they draw my mind to Deborah, and Deborah would be your auntie, and Frank is your father-in-law. You're the medium, you're meant to be doing the work, not listing it off for the client to do the work. Who is Frank? Who is Deborah? So in my opinion, we need to be working much more closely with the presentation of our words. And so what I personally do is that I've trained my mind enough that as I'm going through said scenario, everything is just a statement. You would understand that your father is a lorry driver. That's a yes or a no answer from my client. You know, and so I'm not fishing, it's a statement. So yes or no, you would understand that, yes. You would also understand that your father draws my mind to his home, which is just outside of London, yes or no. So we make everything a statement, and because you train your mind to be a statement, that's how the information starts to come in. It comes in as a statement, rather than stumbling on our words. The biggest culprit of that is that we're speaking too fast. And if I speak really fast and I can't get enough of their information out, and then what I start doing is I don't know where I'm going, I'm a little bit lost. Or I can take my time, and as I receive one piece of information and I give it as a statement, as I've given it as a statement, so you would understand that your father is a lorry driver, while I'm waiting for the yes to come back, I've already asked the question. I've already got my next statement to give off. And then once that one's gone off, I'm off to get the next one. The only time that would become a problem is when it becomes no. And so when I get a no, I pause and then ask them to clear it up. She said no to me. Why she said no? I don't understand. That's what you gave me. Try giving me it in another way. And they will give me it in a different way, and I will present that. I will get the yes, then I will move on. So everything becomes a statement. So I can get everything that I say verified in that given moment. Now, obviously, you're going to come across problems learning that, but that's the point of learning, isn't it? That you develop to be better, not to be consistent and comfortable in your zone, but to broaden your capabilities of a medium. So my suggestion would be to slow down as you're speaking, get clarity from the communicator, then give it as a statement, not open-ended kind of nothings. And that will help you very, very quickly. Big Bear. What a cool name that is, Big Bear. Hi, Charlie. I wonder, are spirit always here? And is mediumship just us sensing them? Absolutely. It's quite simply that simple, that easy. So in a nutshell there, Big Bear, well done. Oh man, that just jumped again. There, okay, so Evening, Charlie. What's one piece of advice you could give someone new? To mediumship, that is. Absolutely. Make sure that you're forming your own philosophy. And what I mean is that I wasted the first year of my development sitting in a circle, holding hands, praying for protection. And the whole time I'd be sitting in this little church going, but every time they're here, I feel so much love. And every time I communicate with someone, it's their loved one. What am I protecting myself from? I don't understand why I'm doing this for half an hour before I got there. So my own philosophy come into play very, very quickly. Logic become very, very apparent in mediumship. And so I would just build your own philosophy is what I would recommend the most. Don't listen to what, don't listen to, I don't want to say nonsense, but if someone says something to you and for some reason alarm bells of all sorts go off in your sensory, then for you I would suggest that it's wrong what you've just heard and what you're taking on board. So that would be my first thing, you know. Trust yourself, have a little bit of confidence in yourself, start loving it, don't put too much pressure on yourself, and get good, solid, you know, philosophy, foundations, build it correctly. Sub to the channel would be a good start. But yeah, all jokes aside, I would build your own philosophy, and don't be so stubborn or naive enough to not throw it out when you find a greater or better explanation as you go along. Just being stubborn and egotistical won't get you anywhere. So it will restrict you. So be honest, be open, and look for ideas on how to make it much easier for yourself. And that will do your mediumship the absolute world of good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, cool. Oh, yeah. Do you believe that working on your inner confidence develops your mediumship? I do to an extent. So I don't know if you're working publicly there, Suzanne. I have no idea. But I will answer it as a public worker. So if I'm worried about the colour of my hair, you know, like I've got red hair, sticky out ears, you know, this kind of thing, like you wouldn't believe the problems this caused me through my young adult life, through school, and you know, and it brings you down. I mean, like these people just full on attack you. I mean, even today it's still very, very very present, isn't it? My weight, you know, people always mention about my weight, you know, oh, you're so skinny, as though that's not meant to be offensive in some way. And yet if I went, whew, you've got fat, that's deemed offensive. And it's kind of like, well, it's no different. You're talking about my weight. That's not right. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. So I had to work on my inner confidence. Am I bothered by my weight? Absolutely not. I've dealt with it. This is my weight. There's not much I can do about that. Not much I can go and get surgery for my sticky out ears, and I can maybe shave my hair and, you know, and dye it maybe. But do you know, I don't care. I don't care about my hair, and I don't care about my sticky out ears, and I don't care about my weight, because I dealt with that. It's like, do you know what? I'm happy with who I am. I'm perfectly imperfect, and I'm comfortable with that. And so what that done for me is it gave me my power back. And so it doesn't matter if you say to me, Coy, haven't you got sticky out ears, Charlie? And I go, yeah, end of story. Look at your red hair. So what? And aren't you really underweight? Don't you look too skinny? Don't you look ill? I don't care. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. So you hold no power in those kind of words that maybe I was self-conscious about, because I have dealt with it. I've dealt with the issue. I'm comfortable with who I am now, meaning there's no one on the outside that can inflict me to fall into a turmoil. And unfortunately, that's what we do when we argue, when we're looking to other people. We go through this form of judgment, you know, like, ain't she put on loads of weight? Hasn't she lost loads of weight? Look at her hair, look at her nails, look at her clothes. Look. We're passing judgment all the time. So it absolutely builds your mediumship, because it brings your power back as an individual. And if you're someone that's got that kind of power in yourself, then you're gonna be pretty much unstoppable in most areas in your life, because you're comfortable with who you are, who you have become. So absolutely. Bonjour, Charlie. So bonjour, Miriella. Thank you for this live. My question is, during a platform session, is it possible to do a psychic reading and therefore not real mediumship reading? That's kind of cute, that question there, you know. If you come here to the UK, most evenings are advertised as mediums where you will actually be watching a psychic. So that one's just got me in trouble. So I know that it absolutely happens. It absolutely, and way too much. Way too often in centres and churches all around, everywhere we go. So unfortunately, my answer is yes, Miriella. Miriel, however you say your name. Absolutely is the answer. Do I have to give up alcohol and weed to be a medium full time? I think Spirit told me that I can't take a puff when the blunt comes my way. It's entirely up to you, mate. It's the spirit world. This does make me laugh. The spirit world cannot and will not make you do anything. You know. Now, I'm not saying like alcohol's good for the system, good for mediumship. Nor is a blunt or weed or whatever you want to call it. None of these things are going to enhance you as a being, but it will not affect that of your mediumship. Now, alcohol to an excessive level obviously will, you know, because your mind starts to let go of the filters. It starts to let go of logic and judgment, the same way we do when we're dreaming, you know. Alcohol can play games with your mind. So, but I assume you mean not drinking while working. You can drink at the Christmas party, for example, or if you go out with your buddies on a Wednesday night, then you can drink alcohol there. Just don't look at the spirit world. Should you do it? I would say, of course, you should do it. Give up weed and give up alcohol, because your body will be better for it, of course. But so would be vegan. So would be doing lots and lots of exercise and working out and looking after your vessel, your temple. The better you treat it, the better the results that you're going to have. Absolutely. However, you're a real man in real life, and if you like a drink or a smoke at certain parts, then the spirit world will not stop you from doing that. They will not make you do anything at all. So that's where we get free will, mate. It's up to you. If you want to be better clarity of mind and better at statements and better connection to the spirit world, then give them up. It's how much you want it, isn't it? It's whatever you want. But they will always be there. So thank you, Charlie, for the comments. Yes, please check out Yoga Nidra. I wrote it down. I wrote it down so you can see there. I will be checking it out afterwards. No problem. Why does it seem like basic or stereotypical information is easier to get than more complex evidence? Is this the mind and what it will accept? The development of declares. Absolutely, Miss Responsibility. It's one of those things where my jeans keep riding up. It's very uncomfortable. So it's one of those things that your mind can hold it so freely. So I have a grey-haired old lady that wears glasses and a pinny. She absolutely loves baking, and she's such a gorgeous woman. She loves everyone. It's so free to the mind because it's our idea. Our idea is that the grey-haired old ladies have lived a life and they know it's best to share with people and help people. And of course, they've had the experiences, but they actually love their garden. They love their cakes. Of course, that's very, very simple to comprehend. Very, very difficult for your mind to accept that you've got a grey-haired old lady here that's up on firearm charges and selling 2 key of crack for the last 2 years. And she's about to go to prison for 13 years and she's 71 years old. That's hard for your mind to accept. So what I would say is that you have to trust what you're getting. And it's very easy to trust a baking cake old lady. That's very easy. It's very difficult to have faith and go, I hope you're right. Because I've got a lady here holding a machine gun and she's telling me to tell you da-da-da-da-da-da. That's very difficult. But that is what will make you stand out. That is what will broaden the consciousness that they can work with if you start saying the exact things that you're seeing or feeling now. I hope that makes sense there, Miss Responsibility. So I need to grab another drink. So my apologies, give me a moment. And I'll read the next question in my mind. Okay, so Melanie, I think her name was. So Melanie asked, Charlie, how long were you in unfoldment, development, or circle when you did your first platform demonstration? Thanks. Now, what I do need to express here is that in my time in development, which I'm still in development, so in my early stages of unfoldment and sitting in circle, I wasn't the kind of medium that would go, oh, it's Wednesday night, I've got to go and be all spiritual. It's Wednesday night, and so for 3 hours I'm going to be spiritual. That is not my unfoldment. My unfoldment started very, very quickly, and very quickly in that time, every spare moment I had, my head was in a book. I was researching, I was getting my philosophy and my foundation done. So the effort that I put into the time available, I haven't seen anybody else do in that process. And that's not me being arrogant or egotistical. I just haven't witnessed that in someone else. The hunger to get the information for me was incredible. And I would sit up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning with reading a silver birch book, and have to be at work at 6 a.m. the next morning, to where I was going to be till 5:30 the following evening, to when I would start researching or be at circle. So time and effort were magnified. Like, I'd done loads of it. But in answer to your actual question, when did I take my first platform demonstration, was on the 11th month of development, I think it was, 10th or 11th month. And I turned up to a demonstration to watch it, and the medium failed to show, to which the spiritual church that I was in attendance put a call out for a medium. I do need to tell you, I didn't put my hand up. My friend put her hand up and said, he's a medium, he'll do it for you. To which I did the demonstration. And from that demonstration, I took 4 bookings. And then from them 4, I took something like 16 bookings. And then from that 16, I took something like 100 bookings to what I currently run now, to something like 200 spiritual demonstrations a year, most of which I do for free or only expenses. so how much it cost me to get there. A lot of the time I'm out of pocket, but I still keep that kind of diary going now. So 10, 11 months would be my answer to you there. Can you explain a little about the process of certification in the UK? Is that the SNU? We have the NASC here in the USA. Yeah, I do know of the NASC of the US, and the SNU is a global organisation. You know, they do go into different countries. And the principle, the underlying idea of what the SNU try to do is very it's a great idea. I absolutely love it. I love everything about that and the certification. However, over years of maybe abusing the system in some way, you know, letting your buddy through or fast tracking this one because they're popular or because they know of that person, has brought a lot of discredit to that certification. So through their own demise, really, in that sense. So the process is that you attend lots of courses. Through them courses, you take little exams as you go along, which is a lot of about the history of spiritualism and some form of understanding of mediumship. And then when you're going for a speaking or a demonstrating certification, you would have to speak and demonstrate at a said level, which would fall within the guidelines of what they deem acceptable. And if you do that, you are awarded your whatever award that you applied for. So yeah, it's all online. You can go to snu.org.uk, and there's lots of information there. And it is actually a half decent website as well. It's got enough information on there. Unfortunately, a lot of it's about in-house politics at the moment. No one will talk about it. No one will own up to it. I'll get in trouble for it, but that's a lot of it will be in-house politics with what's going on there. But the idea of the union is still very, very much a good idea in my mind, and what it stands for. But that opinion will be met like a head-on collision with a lot of people here in the UK. Thank you, Charlie. I am in Ayrshire, cool, and I am raring to go and help people. I feel fired up and want to get on the platform more. I am in great circle with lovely people. That's good that you're raring to go and help people. That's obviously another good thing that we need to be doing. We need that empathy with someone else. I must remind you of the severity and the responsibility that a medium should go out with, because what you say to people will be will stay with them forever. So your advice or your communication should be one of the highest order, because what they leave with is going to be very, very impacting in many, many cases. And I always think of like a mother that's lost a child to an illness or a car accident or a suicide. These things are very, very, it's not to be played with. So absolutely with helping people, but be mindful of the severity of it also. When you go back and forth between validation of evidence too much, too much, look like after every question, is it possible to create a weak link? Yeah, because I know you've typed that, and I'm sure you've not typed it in and meant it that way, because there should be no questions, there's statements. But no, not really. The communicator's not going to go anywhere. You know, like if I've got your mum here and she sat here on the chair and she wants to talk to Miss Responsibility, and I'm not saying your mum's in the spirit world or not in the spirit world as an example, and I've got your mum here, and I'm her only choice to be able to speak to you because you're here in front of me, then as I'm having this communication with her and I'm relaying this information as the medium, at no point is she going to disappear. Definitely not. She's here for you. And it's me that's, if it's looking weak, then it's me that's messing that up. So what I need to establish very, very quickly is how to keep this flowing. And through this flow, it will move flawlessly, hopefully. But it won't. She's not going anywhere. So a weak link's kind of like a myth. The weakness is that of your mind. And if you know that I've got her here, and then the relationship can only be breaking down with me and the client. So I need to work on that relationship that I have for me and my client. What books would be good to read on mediumship and all aspects surrounding? I personally liked Silver Birch when I read it. So there are lots of authors or people that wrote the books under the name of Silver Birch. I found them intriguing. I also need to say I didn't agree with everything that I read in those books. And then when I read a few of them again for the second time, I agreed in some areas and disagreed in others again. So it was constantly changing. My favourite author, just out of my own choice, is Maurice Barbanel. I'll tell you what, I'll type Maurice Barbanel in the description, in the chat now. And I found a lot of his books on Amazon, so here it is. It was something that he went in to debunk spiritualism. And come out an advocate for it. So I found his books intriguing, very honest and very simple. So I very much enjoyed his book. So my good friend David, if you're looking for books in that subject, I would absolutely start with one of those. This is Spiritualism was a good first read for me. Maybe have a look at that. What are your thoughts on the use of symbols during a reading? Some teachers are cool with them, some discourage them, or dependency on them. Your thoughts? I think it's healthy to have a balance, you know. If you was to join one of my classes and you were heavily using symbols, it would become very apparent very quickly that you're using symbols, because people that use symbols tend to discuss the mechanic of the symbol. So they're showing me a horse right now, and horse to me means freedom as it runs wild through the fields and blah blah blah. That just looks kind of unprofessional. So what you do with the symbol is like, I'm seeing a horse, so I need to talk about freedom. And so I know that I need to discuss freedom with you, and you would understand that and then with that student, I would encourage them to get it in another way, so they're not reliant on the symbol, because symbols are very restrictive. They're not. It's so much easier to go direct to the communicator and say, tell me exactly what you want me to do, rather than give me a symbol of what you want me to try and say here. So I would offer up the mechanic of what they're doing, simplify it, but also offer another avenue. And that way they would bring in a nice balance into their way of working. We have to remember that each medium is a unique individual, a unique instrument for that of the spirit world. And so some of us will talk about angels and fairies and soulmates and twin flames and all that kind of stuff. And others won't. Others will not acknowledge it whatsoever. And so I think if we lost that kind of terminology and we went through the very simplistic approach of, if I take this back to its source, if I take it back to the primary, which is going to be energy, and this energy holds an intelligence, then whatever label we put there, I don't think is required. So I may say my guide or my team or the angel or the unicorn or the whatever. By removing the label, the energy is still giving us the required information. The label is for the individual, possibly for egotistical value. If I'm telling you that you're working with angels, that would feel great for you, and you hold me in a position because I spoke of said angel. However, the energy is the energy. And that's very simplistic, and some people don't like simplistic because it knocks away the pedestal that they've been sat upon for so many years. So we need to be very, very open to every form of mediumship, encourage the communication, and maybe try and drop some of the labels as we progress through time. My thoughts. Cool, so that's answered that. Dave Harris, hey Charlie, what can I do to improve my relationship or connection with my team on the other side whilst I'm on my own? Oh, there you go, it's already done. My admin on the feed tonight, the wonderful Carol, has already answered your question there, Dave, with a video directly underneath it, developing on my own. But if you're not going to watch it, what I done was set aside time, just set aside a particular time. So what's the day? Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I'm going to sit for an hour with my spirit world. And what they're going to do is that I'm going to leave it up to them. I'm going to sit. They've got an hour, and I'm just going to circulate my breath into a very natural rhythm. And if I go through visuals, then I'll follow the visual. If I go through a different kind of sensory, then I'll follow the sensory. However, I may just need to sit for an hour. And because of that, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. May take 3 weeks of absolutely nothing. But on the 4th week, everything starts to fall into place. So I would set aside time for your team. Make it like an appointment. Be polite, as you usually would. If I say 10 o'clock, then you expect me there at 10 o'clock. And then build it from there. You build it. I remember one of my teachers saying to me, Charlie, wear it like a second skin. And I didn't really get that at first. But now, I totally get it. Totally understand exactly what they were saying there. Wear it like a second skin. And it becomes very, very easy. Very easy. Where are we? So, thanks. Is there a difference between being an angel medium and a psychic medium? Is it my ego trying to make me feel important? I really don't want to upset you in any way, Stephen. I would love nothing more than to encourage your progression as a medium altogether, So rather than sort of dig you out or say it's your ego, buddy, you need to sort it out. We're not going to do that. We're going to be a little bit different. Okay, so what we need to understand is that a psychic, you gotta appreciate that the mechanics are different. So psychic is psychic. I can read your energy and I can tell you and get it correct with what I'm doing. So I'm a psychic. So the title psychic medium is I'm someone that can read your energy, but I'm also someone that can communicate with the spirit world. And so I become a psychic medium. That's what that means. An angel medium is just another form of terminology. It's just a label that you have given it. So if you are saying to me that you are communicating with angels, wherever your finger's gone now, I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to as an angel medium. So I'll break it down for you so I can help you along with the title of what's going on there. An angel is only an avatar for someone's energy, for someone's energy. It's just an avatar. They're not a feathered being. They may be in your avatar, but in my avatar, they are not. So you are not wrong, but I would also argue that you are not right. It's just an avatar of what you deem as an angel. So you can't be communicating with the angel to give it off because there is no evidence of the angel. What you can do is like, I'm aware of an angel that I'm working with, and then you come up to me and say, I see an angel with you. Then all you've done is read me psychically. You've read that in my energy that I am aware that you work with angels, because you cannot evidentially prove the angel. And what I mean is that if you have a father in the spirit world and he passed at 51 years old and he passed of a heart attack on August the 17th and he was on the drive, he was just on his way to work and he passed away, then that's evidence of your father in the spirit world. So it falls under the bracket of evidential mediumship. So I hope that makes sense. So I don't want to go as far as saying, check you out, you need to sort this out and sort that. I don't think we need to be doing that. I think this is more of an understanding of why you have said angel, medium. Psychic, me and you, reading, and medium as in communicator. I don't understand the banner of angel in medium that you're saying there. So other than that, it's just, I've gave you the mechanics behind it all. Just play with the words, just twist the words differently, present them differently. And I don't think, like you're saying, like your ego trying to make you feel important. I would go as far to say as every single one of us are important. Every single one of us. It is your importance more than someone else is when that will fall under the bracket of egotism. I'm no better than you. I am no less than you. In any religion, in any spiritual way of life, the constant message that has been spoken for over the years is equality. So the ego must be playing a role to feel that I'm more important than you, or you more important than me. Just remove self-importance, which is ego, and everything will fall into balance. Everything will fall into place. So, good evening, Karen. Okay. The last 5 mediums we have had at our local church have been almost totally psychic readings and nothing to do with spirit. So, unfortunately, totally agree that happens often. I totally agree with you too, which is kind of unfortunate when you're looking for mediumship, spirit communication. So I feel for you there. Do you think spirit use memories from your own life a lot of the time? Like maybe a family member comes into your mind, name, etc. type of passing, like a reference. Absolutely, that can definitely happen. But what I would also, just to sort of play devil's advocate there, you know, sort of mix it up a little bit, it's because your database is restricted that you can't allow the free flow of the communication to happen. So like let's make it real harsh, like real harsh. So let's say someone comes to you for a reading, and the communicator has been, that they've come to have the reading from, has been murdered in their passing. You know, that's going to be a very difficult one. You're going to have no memory of that to get that. So the only other reference base that you're going to have at that point is that of Hollywood or of the TV or of some sort of other thing there. So that will give you an example of how they can use the reference base in something that either has happened within your family, and that may have happened within your family where you've had a family member where their life has been taken at the hands of another person, or we're going to revert to something like a film or a TV show. But it would be much easier if the mind was open enough for them to say that I got mugged, I got stabbed, I got whatever it was through their own communication. But yes is the answer, Roslyn, absolutely. But we need to also try to open the mind. Don't settle for where you're at. As I'm autistic, is that right? Oh, it jumps everywhere. Damn. Okay, as I'm autistic, Spirit always tell me everything directly, because if they gave me symbols, they know I wouldn't have a clue. And that's the relationship that you've built up there, Suzanne. And I think, for me, I think whether you're diagnosed as autistic or whatever, it doesn't matter. The relationship that you have built with that spirit team is one that you two know what's best. They know if they're going to go around the houses, you're going to get confused. I don't want it to go around the houses. Whereas if you're looking for it to go around the houses, it will go around the houses. So I think it's one of those things that's the relationship you've built. That's a wonderful thing. But everyone can do that. Everyone can be part of that same thing, can't they? So Lillian, hi Charlie, sorry to be so late. Went to see Danny and Francesca doing a platform session. Was good. I did enjoy it, and I did go under 15 minutes almost at every contact. Well, that's good. So they've listened to our last seminar. So send my love on and my congratulations on to them for me, please, Lillian. And thank you for joining the live stream. So very quick, need to mute you. I've done a lot of talking tonight, man. So let me quickly have a drink. Okay, so Kerry, hi Charlie. Do you think you could do a Reiki session and then a mediumship reading, or do you think the energies are so different? Do you know what, Kerry? It's a good question. A lot of people will be looking at the answer there. I'm interested in what you think on that one. On what you believe there, and then I don't know if you're on my next workshop. Do I have a list here? I don't know, so I'll answer it. You're going to get away with it this time because I don't have the information to hand, so deem yourself very lucky this time. Absolutely, you can do a Reiki session because it's you're going through the. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't. There's so many philosophies in my mind that I have to keep mindful of. So Reiki is a universal energy. It's something that you are plugging into, and you're using that universal energy. I think I'm correct in saying that. And then do a mediumship reading. I'm struggling to find where the energies are so different. If the title is universal energy, then my understanding of universal would be it fits all. My understanding through mediumship is that we plug into an infinite, unrestricted energy, pretty much the same way as a Reiki would explain it. Therefore, one being a healing, it's just an energy charge up, you being a channel without any communication, and one's just a spoken word. So I could probably do them together if I tried hard enough. I could probably do them together. So you're not allowed to use it as a cop-out. You should have absolutely no problem from moving from one into the other. And I know that you're like a young mum that I know that is very busy with a young family going on there. And that's like you saying to me, I've got to drop the kids to school. Do you not think I can turn the washing machine on when I get back? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like, well, do it. Just do it. Just you need to drop the kids at school, then go drop the kids at school, and then you need to come home and get the washing done, or they won't have a uniform for tomorrow. Then you just get the washing done. Do the Reiki, then do the mediumship. It's really that simple. Mimi, Oh, it's Mimi. I remember Mimi now. I remember. I want to be very responsible when I practice platform. How do I differentiate psychic and mediumship? I need a refresh. I had already asked you this question, but it stays in my heart. So how do you know whether you are in psychic or in mediumship? Actually, there is a very, very simple answer that a lot of you will understand. So if I'm in communication, let me quickly swap screens. If I'm in communication with said spirit world, so I've got a communication going, and here it goes, da-da-da-da-dung, and I'm raising statements and I'm doing the communication, then I know that I'm getting the answer, because I usually then go back. So they might go, I'm a family man, you know, I'm dad. And I'll go, oh, you're dad? Okay, how many kids you got then? And he'll be like, well, I've got 4 kids. And I'm like, right, okay, so he's got 4 kids and da-da-da-da. So I can express this, I can get that there. Psychic tends to, for me, feels very like woody. You know, it's like there's nothing behind it. There's nothing there. So if I'm aware of dad, I can get that from the energy of the client. You know, you want your dad. However, I've got no one to ask the question. I've got nowhere to do it. So the very simple answer here is ask it a question. And it, being male or female, will then give you an answer, therefore showing you that you're with the spirit world, and the other will have no answer because it's flat, it's kind of like woody, and no answers coming forward after asking said question. And very kindly below, Carol has placed a video that I have done on what is psychic. Okay, so well, it jumps all over the place, this thing. Okay, don't know if you covered this in your videos, but how do you get the spirit's age? How do I get the spirit's age? I mean, there's various ways that you can do this as an exercise. Very various ways of doing it. I'll show you one that I can just slightly think of here. So oh, I'm not sure how this is going to look on the camera. That's let me swap cameras quickly so I can show you this. So looks terrible, doesn't it? I'll fill it in with numbers now. So 0, then 20, then 30. So you can do it in a way that one of my colleagues does it, which made me laugh. He would watch game shows, you know, like Pointless or what's that Chaser one? Something, the Chase, something like that, whatever it was. And right at the start, the Sky Plus or TiVo or whatever it is people use, you know, and he would pause it, and he would go like 35, 36, you know, and then play. And it would go, hi, my name's Stephen and I'm from Lancashire. I'm a 37-year-old engineer. And then the next one, pause. So he could train his mind to find like a benchmark for a generic kind of age. That would help him in the visual aspect. You can just ask them and they'll give you an idea there. Or they can use it in areas where they can give you a year. Or again, this would be in a visual aspect. The way that I try to do it is that in most scenarios, when I'm going to a venue, I'm driving a car. So I use the speedo of a car. And I ask for them to sort of put the needle on an area that's very much in my mind because I've just got out of the car, and it'll be like 62. And I'll be like 62-ish, something like that. If I don't do it that way, I simply ask, how old are you? And my mind will be drawn to an area. So it will. I know that I'm not in my 30s. I know I'm not in my 40s, but 50s is feeling good. And while I'm processing this, it's 53, 54. 53, 54, and then I'll kind of be in there. So it'll be like 53. But the problem is with exact ages is that it could be 2 days before, 2 days before the birthday of said communicator. And in this communication, they might be 54 tomorrow. And so I'll go 54 because it would have felt nearer to 54 than it did 53. And they'll say no. And so, and that, you know, they are right to say no because they are 53 1 day before their birthday. However, understand that it felt like 54 and to go from there. So I don't know. We'll see. Try it, give it a go, see how you get on, and we can look at trying to define ages. I just don't think. I think ballparks are enough. You know, this is 20s, he's in his 30s, he's in his 40s, and your evidence should be so strong anyway that the age is kind of a nothingness. As I said, if you said 54 and you was a day out, they would say no anyway. So, okay, the brilliant, thank you. Being told they are different, yes, I am. Okay, Kerry is on the January workshop. Cool. That's what I thought. Okay, cool. So we'll be doing it in January then, Kerry. So to show you. Okay, hey Charlie, what is your online class happening again? Just need to put it on my calendar. I know you don't have one yet. Just intended. Yeah, okay, so I'm trying to get that sorted. The next live Q&A is January the 15th. Sophie's question, of course. So I was sent in a question. I will get to those ones at the bottom there. Sophie Beach from Colchester, who is established medium now out there, working the platform. I think we'll miss her in class, actually. She was a very good, she's a good medium. And she went to watch a demonstration the other night and she thought this would be a good question to raise on the live Q&A. And she asked, what is the value of a remote viewing from a platform? Because the medium that in question said that it proved life eternal. I don't agree with that statement that it proves life, and I don't. And to give it value, it would have to be the point of remote viewing would have to be through communication. Would be that if you cared for your mother, say, and the last 5 years of her life were in that home, then that home becomes her world. And so then it holds value because we can walk from room to room where you'd have spent the last 5 years caring for your mum and it was her world. So that makes sense. It doesn't make sense for me to talk about your nana that you haven't seen in the last 35 years and you went to her house twice in your entire lifetime because she lived so far away. Then there would be no value in the remote view. So the evidential value of that is unique to the individual. If you are sitting with someone for 5 years of caring and you're talking about what was in the second drawer down in the kitchen and the fourth one in from the right, and it was actually all the paperwork that you had to deal with because that was your drawer at that given time, then that's massively evidential. However, if you hadn't seen that or you don't know that, then it can't be verified. There's no evidence there. It can't be helped in any way. So the value is down to the uniqueness of the individual, the case in question, and then it would hold its evidential value there. I tend to find ones like a scene, you know, like maybe someone has met an unfortunate end because they've been caught up in gang warfare in Birmingham or in Moss side of Manchester, and I can then do it that way through communication, that I'm talking to another gang member and I'm talking about the park and the roads and where the incident happened, then that remote view's got value to it also. So we need to weigh it up for what the case is. Just throwing the random remote view in there is not going to prove anything, and especially if they can't verify it. So I tend to let the spirit world do that process for me on where it should be going and where this next link should lead the way. And if that involves a remote view, then I will involve the remote view. What are your thoughts on opening and closing chakras? Absolute rubbish. So if it's closed, you're dead. And if you could be in charge of opening them, I just think that many people would just mess it up, wouldn't they? I mean, I think it's the intent, and people have just moved that onto areas of the body that move the mind in that area. It gives it a focus. So if I've got a focus of 7 chakra points, I know there's loads of chakras, but the commercial aspect of chakras, shall we say, is of the 7. And so then the intent is to open that up. I think the actual process of what you're trying to achieve is to be hypersensitive, and that ritual that you're going through is something that's just going to take time. But it is a ritual. I move my mind to communicate or to do healing or to do trance work. Then the chakras, as we're calling it, my hypersensitivity, moves into the right stage of awareness. Therefore, it's opened. And when my mind moves away from it, so I come back to what we know as reality, the here and now, that process is closing it. So it's a very, very old terminology, still a massive lack of understanding, because it's actually all in the mind. So I don't mean to offend, but I'm not apologizing if I have. The idea offends me. No problem. We will really miss Sophie on the menstruate. Absolutely. Do you really feel it is important to give what they do for a hobby or work if the evidence is there with their relationship to the sitter, how they passed, and other specifics? I think the best person to know all the answers to that question is that of the communicator. And if the communicator wants to talk about the home life, then they will talk about the home life. What usually happens is a student has been taught in a way through a school or through an organization or through some sort of celebrity medium that they have to have this format. And the format we have seen many, many times, which I will get formats in Mediumship put at the bottom as a video link from the wonderful admin. They will be trained to go for these specific answers that are actually non-specific to the client in question. So what will happen is that we're asking questions through a format that the sitter will not know the answer to, and that is the restrictions of the format. So we're looking for a male or female, and we're looking for the age, and we're looking for the passing, and what's your hobbies, and what's your relationship, and what's your occupation. However, if it's my uncle that you're communicating with, and I have no idea because I hadn't seen him in 20 years, I know that he lived 400 miles away from me, but I don't know his occupation. I certainly don't know his hobbies. I know a rough age and I know what he passed of, but other than that, there are very specific memories that I share with that uncle. Then it would make sense to me that through the intelligence of the spirit world, that my uncle knows that. And through that, he will give his interpretation. Now, the medium in question then has to have the ability, the confidence, and the know-how to be able to access that form of communication. The uncle will come in its complete form. And what the format does is it only gives you a snippet of it, like a tiny bit of it, just this top bit of label here. What we're trying to do as a medium is to deliver the whole package, which is it's not as easy as I've made that sound, but with trust, with faith, with development, and a constant moving of your own boundaries, that will become more and more apparent with each reading that you do. Hi Charlie, late home from work, so missed the live feed, catching up now. Cool, Chris, nice to see you on anyway. Touch your nose with your tongue. I can't touch my nose with my tongue. I would love to demonstrate that for you, but it's just, I can't do that. Thank you for the formats. Perfect. When you are developing pretty much solo, how do you know how proficient you are? Comparing yourself to other mediums doesn't feel quite right. It'll be known on the feedback that you'll be getting from clientele or from your audience. I think observation is an absolute wonderful tool, one of the greatest tools within mediumship, and rightfully or wrongfully, I will always keep that as my #1 tool in developing mediumship. I think by watching other mediums, it shows you the wonderful things that they can achieve, and if you are seeing wonderful things, it will help you strive to get to that level or equal what you're seeing from that said medium. Equally, when you've seen terrible mediums, you know how it come across, you know how it made you feel, you know that it lost an audience, the energy left the room, that you can then implement that or make sure you don't implement that into your own demonstration, making you a better demonstrator. So I actually think it's a good thing to go and watch mediums, not compare to them, but use it as an observation, as though I love that, I'm going to try and work that in, and I do that, and I didn't like what I just watched there, so I need to get rid of that in my mediumship. So I think it's very, very good observation. One of the better ones. My other bit of advice would be, again, to attend 1 or 2 workshops a year with someone new, someone that's very good in their field, and get their opinion in the classroom on how you're doing. That would be my advice there. Do you think sleepwalkers are dealing with some spirits? No, never at all. At all. Clarify, comparing I am good, bad, mediocre, etc. Okay, so it's, yeah, okay. Power of observation, there it is. So yeah, I think it's required. I think you have to be able to bring it into your mediumship, the observation. It's a must. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I've finally got to the bottom of that list there, you got, what, an hour and 45, nearly hour and 50 minutes of me talking. My voice is completely blown. I don't know if you can hear it on the mic. Thank you once again for joining me for the live Q&A. It is for you that I do the Q&A, so I do welcome your questions. I prefer them on the Q&A if you can bring them forward. But as always, like the video once it hits the channel, subscribe if you aren't already, and share. It needs sharing, so this can help many people. A lot of us are connected to groups, you know, whether it be in Reddit or on Medium, Tumblr, Facebook. Maybe share it. One or 2 of you will gain a snowball effect for me. So if you found it any help whatsoever, then maybe share it to one of those groups or upon your news feed, or have a little say, do something that will help. I will see you on January the 15th on a new live Q&A. I may schedule a surprise attack on one of you at some point, where we can have a quick catch up, because I'm about to shut my diary completely and I will be bored out of my head, and trying to stay away from the spirit world to rest. But the thank you goes to everyone that attended. It's without you guys jumping on, then there would be no point in the live Q&A. So I thank you for taking your time, spending your evening with me, and bringing forward some very, very useful ideas and questions. Maybe, hopefully, debunked a few myths that are there and made mediumship a little bit easier for you to grasp or understand. But as always, get on the channel, let me know you're there, hit me up in the comments, do everything. I just need it to go towards the channel. I look forward to seeing you all next time. I was due to do a video yesterday, back was completely gone. I will try, if I'm fit enough, I will get one up tomorrow. If not, it'll probably be towards the end of the week, just to keep it trickling over. But I'm trying to get back on schedule, 3 uploads a week, keep the channel going. So thank you again, everyone. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you all next time.